And would you mind sitting in the order your place on the committee, please? Maria Aragona. Lexi Morris is not here. Okay. Claudia, Jill, Ryan, Robert. Okay. Oh. I don't know. If you don't mind.
Yeah, that's well, I didn't. But then that yeah. Well, that's what I decided.
And we'll bring up Rena Malik. Sorry, Rena.
Oh, girl.
So when the tournament and Sabrina. Okay, all right. We're going to start. Hold on. I don't know if all right. I like the time now is 5:06. One mic. The time now is 5:06, and we'd like to have everyone's attention. Good evening. Good evening, good evening, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Serena Purcell. I'm the district lead in the 43rd Assembly District. Serena Purcell, the district lead in the 43rd Assembly District. So I want to welcome you here to Restoration Center in the 56th District. Before we get on the way, our district leader, Kanaja Chaden Cooper, would like to open up in words of prayer before we start.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my district. Myself and Ms. Amy Butler. This is the 56th Assembly District where you are located right now in the Restoration Plaza. We thank you all for coming. Again, we ask also that if you have any questions, you say them to the end because we're not certain. We have to screen them. I'm not sure if she already said that, but that was a question that kept being asked. And as much as we want to serve and give you the answers, we have to make sure that we are able to give you the answers today. Is that fair? Okay. Fair. All right.
That's a little question, isn't it?
Well, we are trying to be fair by having everyone here and being able to meet all the judges.
Oh, the judges.
Yes, they're right here.
Nice.
So we're going to pray. All right. So if anyone does not feel comfortable, we ask that, of course, you refrain yourself as we pray, and we want to make sure that we are respectful of your beliefs as well. Lord, we thank you, we worship you, God, we magnify your name, God. There's absolutely none like you. You're so awesome, you're so magnificent, you're so omnipotent, God. We thank you for bringing us together once again. We ask that you just take authority in this place. We ask that you allow everyone to be respectful. We ask that you allow everyone to be patient, tolerant, understanding. We ask that everyone has a voice and is heard, and there is a great understanding of transparency and love for this community and what is needed in this community. We thank you and we praise you, God. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And with that, I'd like to acknowledge our county committee members. Our chair, Mr. Michael Boomer. He's the chair of the district committee. Tony Lake. Jackie Painter, she'll be one of your moderators for this evening. Kanaja Chaden Cooper, who's just playing for us. And Vladimir Eduardo, who's also going to be a moderator for this evening. So this is the judicial committee. It's not the full committee. We're made up of many district leaders throughout Brooklyn, and many of the district leaders are here tonight. In addition to that, we have our judicial delegates who will be attending the convention on Thursday. Our executive committee of district leaders will be meeting tomorrow after this forum. But this event is not just for district delegates. Once again, anyone who comes out from this meeting, you may see them on your ballot in November. So if we go to the convention on Thursday and we present the nominated candidates on Thursday, then you'll see those people on your ballots in November. So we want to make sure that as much as we can, that you get face time. So this will not be the last time that you see them. If they make it through, you definitely will see them again. And if they don't, hopefully they stick around. But just to give you an overview of the process and why we're here tonight. So they're all sitting judges, and they're all going up to run for Supreme. So hopefully serve, 14-year term for Supreme. So these are all sitting judges. And so with that being said, I believe I'm in Sugar Park, the Brooklyn Democratic Party. So that's under the chair of Rodney's Herbalist Bashar, who probably be stepping in here this evening. So we want to make sure we have a forum that is informative. So I do ask, in the interest of time, we want to make sure we hear from the candidates. We also want to make sure that the viewers at home are able to hear from the candidates. So we do ask that you refrain from shouting out, from going out of order in regards to the program. We want to have a quick, swift program. If people are around afterwards and have a few minutes, they could definitely engage you too as well. And that's Kanesha Trainer Cooper. If we're able to get an audience question in, that has to be vetted because these are all sitting judges and they cannot answer certain questions that may conflict their positions as sitting judges. So that's just something to know. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to our moderator, Jackie Painter, district leader from the 51st and 2nd District. Vladimir, Edra, Brooklyn Young Dems, to start us off.
All right.
So, one second.
Also, we want to make sure we shout out to the rest of the district leaders who have joined us here today. We want to give you a big shout out. Please stand up so we could properly introduce you and let everybody know that you're here.
Another standing. Joyce, you'll have to say hello. Give your name. Your name. Your full name. And your district. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce.
I'm going to invite someone out there, district leaders in the 54 assigned district.
Thank you. And if any more district leaders join us, we'll make sure we acknowledge them. Oh, Tony was in. And speaking of, say hello. Name and district? Okay. Name and district.
I'm Jennifer Fauché, the district leader from the 41st Assembly District, which is Sheepshead Bay, it's Midwood, it's Madison, it's Flatlands, Flatbush. So welcome all.
Okay.
Also, please give a hand for Rodney Bashar Herbalist, who is here with us today. Oh, and Daniel too. Hi, Daniel.
Hi, everyone. I'll make it quick. Welcome to the Kings County Judicial Supreme Court Convention. Okay. I'm just really, I just want to thank the ad hoc committee, the staff, and members of, yes, and the volunteers for putting this together. This is very important. We take pride in what we do. We want to make sure that we're transparent, we're inclusive. We let the world know who we have as candidates to run. And yes. Okay. And we want to make sure this is a very safe and open environment for you to ask any questions. I do want to thank all of our judicial candidates. Yes. I want to thank Mommy. Say hi. But again, thank you all. Jackie, Vlad, Marina, Miranda, Kanesha, our chair, Michael Boomer, Tony Cole, and the whole team, and all of our district leaders. Thank you so much. Give them a round of applause. It's really hard. We don't get paid for this, okay? We don't get paid for this, but thank you, everyone. Huh?
She said she doesn't get paid. I asked her, what does she get paid for? We're losing our home. What does she get paid for?
Right, so I'm saying that all of this, all the district leaders
Uh-huh.
who get elected here, they don't get paid for it. That's what I'm saying. It's a volunteer position. Right, and a lot of people may not know that. Okay, we spend money to run. We go through a lot of heartaches running. But at the end of the day, we do it because we care about the community. So this is all a volunteer work. No one gets paid, okay? But thank you so much. Brooklyn ain't for, that's right. Brooklyn ain't for grass, and we do gotta protect our property. That's why we have our judges here who can answer to some of these questions that are very, very important. And I'm gonna tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it is very important that you understand why we're doing this. Very often, we don't get a chance to select who's gonna be representing us in the court system. We don't, okay? But when we do have an opportunity, we need to be involved. We need to vote. We need to ask our nominees or our candidates, what do they stand for, okay? And their views. We're looking for people with temperament, fair, equitable, because very often, again, we don't get an opportunity to have people who represent us on the bench. That's why we're having this. It is your choice. It is you the people, who get to vote, who get to make the decision. And on my other side, as a legislator, we are looking to change some of the rules for all judges, especially housing court judge. We want to make sure that the people get to elect the housing court judges. It's going to be a lot of, whatever. But we did start a bill, and I've spoken to some of the housing court judges who, like Julia Howard and some of the other past ones, who I'm very interested in making sure that our community votes, because it's not us who appoints the housing court judges. It's a panel that's picked selectively. So we want to make sure that we, the people, have an opportunity to vote for housing court judges. We're going to be pushing for that, and we're going to be asking everybody for your support to come to Albany and try to get that passed. And we want to increase the number of housing court judges. So with that, everyone, thank you so much, and let the show begin. I'm sorry? The panel is decided by the administrators of the court system. No, the overall state court system. Yeah. It's, well, you have like Chief Wilson, the panels, like OCA. Mommy. So it's the people who report to him.
The community don't get a chance to.
Sometimes they make recommendations, and sometimes it's organizations that make recommendation, like they would have like maybe someone from a tenant housing organization, nonprofit. It comes from nonprofits. All the people that are recommended are coming from nonprofit, from both the tenant and landlord side.
So this is transparent to the people in the community. What organization?
I don't think people know, because I didn't know, to be honest. Right, but we will make it transparent because my bill eliminates the panel. My bill eliminates the panel, meaning the people will choose.
So we are going to get started because we are 9 minutes over time. But we do want to say District Leader Felix Ceballos and our Lady McCalla walked in, so hello. But to start, we are going to ask each of the judges, how this is going to work is that there are 17 total judges, so we did split this up. As you can see, 17 people are not on this table. This is the first panel that we are going to allow to go until a little bit after 6, and then we're going to call up the second panel. So to start, let's just dive right into it. What do you say?
Perfect.
All right. We're going to give each candidate 1 minute to introduce themselves. Well, yeah. We're gonna give each person 1 minute to introduce themselves. Judges, we're gonna ask you to please introduce yourself loudly. Make sure that everyone here can hear you, as well as our friends on Zoom here. We're gonna ask you to please state your name, your title, your court, and probably something like your experience, stuff like that. Again, let's try to condense it all into 1 minute. Tony here is our timekeeper, so he will stop you after a minute.
So we're gonna start with,
Yes, Maria Aragona, we'll start with you.
Good evening. My name is Maria Aragona. I'm currently an acting Supreme Court Justice. I sit in the guardianship court in Kings County. That's not for children, that's for adults who are over the age of 18. Sorry, I'm sorry. Should I stand? Okay. Good evening. My name is Maria Aragona. I am acting Supreme Court Justice serving in the guardianship court in Kings County. That's for adults pursuant to Article 81 of the Mental Hygiene Law, who either by their choosing or determination of incapacity come before me to determine whether they need the appointment of a guardian. I've been elected and served in the criminal court. I've served in the civil court, and I've been appointed acting Supreme Court Justice. I've practiced in private practice, mainly in matrimonial and family law, and each day I serve the most vulnerable population of people who come before me while they're facing personal issues, they're facing foreclosure, eviction, deed theft, and other important matters that are related to their guardianships. Each day I try to serve them. And my interest in the law and my spark to go to law school was sparked by the passing of my dad when I was 10 years old, tragically. And I first had witnessed how people were being treated in the court system. And so that inspired me to work hard to get full scholarships to high school and to college, and to finish college in 3 years, where I graduated summa cum laude and went on to law school and continued to get my master's of law in family law. And thank you, and I thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you, County Leader and
Thank you. Can you hear me in the back? Yes. Good afternoon. My name is Claudia Daniels DePeister. I've been a judge since 2015. I currently sit in Kings County Supreme Court, criminal term, where I have been for 3 years. I'm an acting Supreme Court judge, and I'm seeking the nomination for Supreme Court to be elected to the position that I am serving in. My motto is to practice being pleasant. That means pleasant is a practice. Every day I take my time to speak to the defendants who are in front of me. I call them by their name because they have names. Some of them are locked up because they don't have money to make bail. That doesn't mean they're a bad person, and I try to treat them with dignity and respect. One of the things I want you to know about me is that when I sentence someone, it's as a result of a jury trial. At trial, I am the judge of the law. And I thank you for your time. My minute is up, so I'll have to tell you about it later. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me back there. My name is Jill Epstein. I've been a civil court judge for 6 years. It has been the great honor of my life to represent the people of Brooklyn in civil court. We deal with a lot of pro se litigants. Which means people who represent themselves and don't have lawyers and don't know anything about being in court. So it's always my goal to make sure that everyone who comes into my courtroom is treated with dignity and respect and understands everything that's happening in the courtroom. I want to make sure they don't feel like they're railroaded by the system, and that's very important to me. Just briefly, I've been a lawyer for 40 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I started in family court in the Bronx, where I worked at the abuse neglect court for a judge, and dealt with some of the worst cases and the worst things done to children in the city of New York.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Gottlieb. I was elected to Civil Court in 2022. I currently serve in Civil Court at 141 Livingston Street. And I was raised in a single-parent family by my mother and grandmother, who beat it into my head from day one, the importance of community, the importance of giving back, and making sure that everybody is treated fairly and with respect. Not just pieces of society, all society. There's too many people in our society that feel marginalized, that feel that they're faceless, that feel that they're invisible. And that's why when I take the bench every morning, I make sure, above and beyond saying good morning to everybody, that I explain the procedures of what's going on in the courtroom that day. I tell people this is the process that you need. This is what's going on, so nobody is out of the loop. Also, I follow the golden rule in terms of my philosophy. What would I want with somebody I'm appearing in front of? Somebody who knows what's going on, somebody who treats me with respect, somebody who listens, somebody who's fair, somebody who pays attention. And when somebody's in front of me, I want them to go away saying, you know what, I may agree or disagree with whatever the judge decided, but it was on the merits, it was fair, and the judge took into account what I was arguing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see some familiar faces. I am Judge Norma Jennings. I am currently a civil court judge. I've been a judge for 6 years. I'm a former housing court judge, so I understand the plight of the small homeowner. When you came into my courtroom, I treated you with respect and understood what was happening to both sides, not only the tenant, but also the landlord as well. So it's very important that we consider that, and I am uniquely qualified. I am the only one that has housing court experience. And in this climate where people are losing their homes, and their homes are being foreclosed, my experience is invaluable to Supreme Court at this point. I am also running because I am qualified, and because the only LGBTQ judge on the bench is retiring, and I was asked by several leaders to run for this position. And at this point, I'm qualified. I know we only have 1 minute, so if you have questions about me and you would like information, you can give me your email address and I will forward you my file. But thank you and have a good evening.
All right, my name is Wendy Lee. Everybody, how are you? I'm a civil court judge. I have been on the bench for 7 years, and before that, I have a 25 years of private practice experience. I was a law partner for about 10 years before I took the bench. And I'm educated at Harvard, Oxford, and Beijing University. I brought to the bench with unique experience. I was born in China to a working class family. My mother monthly salary was 35 yen, which was $5 per month. And my father made 50 cents less than my mother. I experienced hunger and poverty. I grew up with hardship experience. I came here to the United States with merit-based food scholarship. I worked through law school, and I know how difficult it is as a marginalized community, a member of the immigrant community. I look forward to your support as a Supreme Court judge. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rita Malik. I'm a judge of the Civil Court here in Brooklyn, and before joining the bench, I worked for a federal judge in Second Circuit Court of Appeals, DC 37's Municipal Claims Legal Services, and in private practice. I joined the state court Supreme Court about 12 years ago. I was serving as a law clerk and court attorney in Supreme Court in Brooklyn and Manhattan, as well as the appellate division, second department, and now as a judge. I have substantial experience in civil procedure, many different areas of substantive areas of law, and I resolve cases. I research the heck out of everything, write probably over 1,000 decisions and orders, and presided over trials. I really tried to do all of that with efficiency, accuracy, and integrity because every case means something to someone. I'm really proud to say I was the first Asian American ever elected to the Civil Court in Brooklyn. And with the nomination to the Supreme Court, I'd be the first judge of South Asian descent ever elected to the Supreme Court, which would be a historic step towards advancing underrepresentation for Asian Americans and celebrating Brooklyn's rich diversity. Thank you.
All right, so we had a chance to hear each of the candidates here tonight. So right now, what we're going to do is move on to the questioning portion. Each candidate will have approximately 2 minutes each to answer the questions. So we're going to start. Give me 1 second. All right, we're going to start with Maria. So the first question is, currently, why do you want to serve as a Supreme Court Justice?
So currently, I am an acting Supreme Court Justice. Sorry, currently I'm an acting Supreme Court Justice in the guardianship part, and I was appointed by Office of Court Administration due to my qualifications and the need. I would like to be elected a Supreme Court Justice so I can continue the work in the guardianship part and with continuity for the next 14 years. I have these cases that come before me. I've come to know them. I've come to learn them, the people, the parties, what they're facing, and I take an interest in each case and really would like to continue doing the work that I am doing, not just based on the need. Thank you.
All right, same question. Currently, why do you want to serve as a Supreme Court Justice? Also, need I remind you, just say your names again before you answer each question, just to have your name resonate in their mind.
My name is Maria Aragona. Thank you.
My name is Claudia Daniels DePeister. As I said earlier, I'm sitting in the position of an acting Supreme Court judge, and I'd like to be elected to that position because there's a lot of benefits that come with being elected. One is having a secretary or a second court attorney, which will help in the efficiency of me resolving cases. Currently, I have a court attorney, and myself and my court attorney act as secretary, and we do all those functions of a secretary without the benefits. So that's why I'm seeking the nomination. In addition, you cannot move any further in the courts if you're not elected to the position that you're in. So I can never become an appellate court judge based on my work without being elected. Thank you so much.
Same question.
Thank you, Jill Epstein. So the reason I would like to be a Supreme Court Justice, aside from the fact that it would thank you. Aside from the fact that it would give me more time on the bench, since I've already been on the bench for 6 years of a 10-year term. It would also give me the opportunity to do the types of cases that I did when I was in private practice. I was an entertainment litigator. I did matrimonial cases. I tried cases in all of the city and state and federal courts going up to the United States Supreme Court, where I had an entertainment matter. I would like the opportunity to bring that to my current work. And I'm looking at the signs held up by the young lady sitting in front of me. Correct. And thank you. I'm sorry that happened, but we don't have the authority to deal with that in civil court. And I would love to have the opportunity to deal with that issue because it's a tragedy. So thank you for bringing that to the forward here. Other than that, I wanted to be a judge since I was 13 years old. And judges change the world, and I'd like the opportunity to keep doing that.
Brian Gottlieb. During my introduction, I mentioned that I was raised in a single parent.
Please, silent, please. Sorry.
During my introduction, I mentioned that I was raised in a single parent family by my mother and grandmother that stressed, community, stressed giving back. And there's a lot of different ways that could be done. I had the opportunity, I'm a Coney Island boy, I've lived in Coney Island for the last 40 years, serving as the chair of the community board, serving on the school board, serving on many boards throughout the community. I had the privilege of creating an organization in my mother's memory, Short Front Toys and Tots, that we reached out to over 50,000 kids throughout Brooklyn, from every corner of the borough and anywhere in between. We reached out and distributed toys to kids. But as a judge within civil court, you have a limit of hearing cases up to $50,000. In Supreme Court, it's unlimited. And also, I call civil court essentially a money court, meaning that unless something really crazy happens, no one's going to jail. We can't rule and say, give this water bottle back to, the plaintiff, the person who sues. But we can say the water bottle is worth X amount of dollars. And it's something where in Supreme Court, you're able to handle all types of cases. And as somebody who was raised to help my neighbors resolve differences and do whatever I can, because with my mother, that was not an option. I didn't have the option of helping others. That was mandatory, and I was obligated to do that because that was how she ruled the house.
Same question. Judge Norma Jennings. My entire career has been dedicated to public service, to helping the marginalized communities, especially the Black and brown community. You may not think so, but some of us are here for that reason. I am not here for the money. I am here to help my community. Okay. I was born, I was raised, I'm the youngest of 7 children. I was raised in housing projects. I was the first in my family to go to college. So I understand the struggles of my community and what they have to go through every day. And being in civil court, you don't get that. Yes, you have cases, you have small claims cases, but I can have a bigger impact in Supreme Court. I can help you with that foreclosure. I can help you keep your family member who is elderly in their home and get services that will keep them there and keep a family together. That's what's important to me. It's not the title. Anybody who knows me knows when I introduce myself as Norma. It's never Judge, because I am like everyone else. We are no better than anyone else. So my job, what I want to do is continue to give back, to continue to have an impact, to help people. That is solely why I'm up here, is to help you. I say that I'm your judge. You elect us. We don't just get here by ourselves. You elect us. So it's important that you do know who is running for that position and how they can help and have an impact on your community. So that's why I am running for judge.
Wendy Lee, civil court judge. First of all, I have done lots of Supreme Court transfer matters, so I already doing the work. Now give me the title to better serve you and to better return to the community. Let me ask you the question. If your house is undergoing foreclosure, if you go to the civil court and ask me to stop the foreclosure, could I do it?
No.
All right, that's why I want to take the next level to the Supreme Court, where it has an equity power, so I can issue injunctive relief and to protect the homeowners, to stop the deep fraud, right? To better serve the community, to return to the community that we serve, and to reflect the diversity of the bench, because the bench should reflect the diversity of our community. Justice delayed is justice denied. Thank you.
Good evening, Rena Malik.
Please settle down.
Thank you. Rena Malik. One of the biggest differences between the civil court where I am now and the Supreme Court where I practiced for over 10 years One of the biggest differences between civil court and the Supreme Court I practiced for over 10 years, is the nature of the system of how cases get moved. So in civil court, judges rotate on a weekly basis, and you may not see the same judge every time you come to court. In Supreme Court, there's a general IAS system, individual assignment system. And with that, I know I have, because I've done it effectively and can hit the ground running in this regard, take the time to spend the case before the same judge on any and every single issue. Now, in civil court, I see that there's people have a hurdle. They have a discovery issue. When you have 50, 70 cases on the calendar, I know it's a little unorthodox, but I say, can you come back this afternoon? Can you come back tomorrow? I'm gonna get this done. I'll put the case out for the next judge, 2-3 months from now, but you need to get this case moving. I really, sorry, I don't like to say the H word, we call it my family hate, but I really get upset when I see people taking time off or finding a babysitter or whatever it is, just to come to court and wait in the morning and not get their cases moving. They need a resolution, and I can give that to them, and that's what I've been doing in Supreme Court for 10 years. I do it as a holistic approach to resolve cases with one person.
Thank you.
So now we're gonna go into different questions for each person. So we would still like you to keep your answer to 1 minute, 1 minute to 2 minutes, maximum 2 minutes. But please keep your answer to 1 minute if possible. This question is for Judge Aragona. Describe the breadth of your experience with the different case types heard in Supreme Court and how that experience prepares you to decide matters fairly and impartially.
Thank you. My name is Maria Aragona again, and I have practiced as a law clerk in Supreme Court for almost a decade. I worked with a judge who handled practically every matter as it went out to trial. Medical malpractice, personal injury, contract disputes, foreclosure. I also practiced in the matrimonial and family law in private practice, as well as in criminal defense, and I served in criminal court for 2 years. Knowing all of that, I was now placed in the guardianship part, where I use all of my skills in all of my practice areas to address the cases that are before me. Many guardianship matters involve other matters, whether it's personal injury, deed theft, foreclosure, and I incorporate all my knowledge each day in all of my practices of law, as well as in addition to doing guardianship matters, I do jury trials and weekend arraignments as an acting Supreme Court judge. So I encompass that in all of my cases, and I try to really conference and develop a rapport with the attorneys and think out of the box. I treat people the way that I wish my family would have been treated, with empathy and respect, and I try to hear everyone each day, and I don't rush my cases so that I can give people the proper attention that each case deserves, because each case and each decision I make changes people's lives. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, this question I'm going to bring towards Claudia Daniels Besser. The question is, what do you perceive as the greatest obstacles to justice currently facing our court system?
One of the greatest injustices, I should say, and again, my name is Claudia Daniels DePeister, is not having sufficient officers to cover the court parts. I come to court early every day at 9:30, and there are days when I don't have enough court officers to open my courtroom. I take action though, and I do cases virtually. I send the link out to the lawyers and the defendants, and we do our cases virtually because I value their time. Everybody doesn't get paid when they don't go to work, and I realize that. So when I don't have court officers, I do virtual appearances. A lot of times cases can be virtual because they're just, are we ready? Is discovery turned over? It's sort of like a system of trying to get to the point of being ready for trial or resolving the cases. So that's how I handle the shortage of having not enough court officers to open every part. Thank you.
Thank you.
share your greatest professional accomplishment as a judge?
Wow, as a judge, I think first of all, my greatest professional accomplishment is trying to provide justice to the people in my courtroom every day. It doesn't matter how big or small the case. I mean, I've done cases that were high profile. I try not to think about the fact that they're high profile because I'm going to handle them the same way I'm going to handle the case for someone who comes in to represent themselves. So I think my greatest accomplishment is being fair to the people who come before me.
Okay, the next question is for Brian Gottlieb. If you are currently a sitting judge, what areas of law did you practice as an attorney before taking the bench? Please also describe any pro bono or public service work you have done.
Again, my name is Brian Gottlieb. When I was in private practice, I primarily focused in the areas of personal injury law, personal injury, medical malpractice, legal malpractice. I did work on the plaintiff side and on the defendant side. Primarily though, plaintiff side, meaning that if somebody was hurt in an accident through the negligence, because of the fault of someone else, they had a lawsuit, and I worked with them to prosecute their cases to try to make them whole. In terms of any pro bono work, I've worked with people in the community, trying to help them, giving them advice. When I was in private practice, because that's something we're not allowed to do as judges. Helping people draft wills, which is something that I always felt was important. Helping people prepare for the notary public exam, which is something that was always important, because you always look and say, where's the notary? You need documents notarized, and there's never one to be found. So for me, whatever hat I would wear, it would be anything that I could do to help others and to make the community better.
Judge Jennings, actually, sorry, pause real quick. We want to acknowledge District Leader Anthony Beckford. Back to Judge Jennings, please list your legal professional memberships, including any bar associations and any other relevant affiliations.
Right now, before I was on the bench, I used to be very involved in politics. I love politics, that's something I love, and I was a member of several clubs. But as a judge, right now, I'm currently a commissioner of the Richard Fallon Commission, LGBTQ Commission, which promotes diversity in the court, especially amongst the LGBTQ community. I am also a member of the Equal Justice Implementation Committee, where we hold different events throughout the year to recognize Black History Month, Women's Month, Pride Month. I am also a member of Judicial Friends and the City Bar Association.
Thank you. This next question is directed to Wendy Lee. Please describe one or more areas where you believe judges need additional training or continuing legal education.
Well, that's a very good question, because every year, judges, we go to Westchester for the judicial seminar. So that's for our judicial continuing education. The court system has done a very good job to have a wide variety of cases and classes for judges. One of the most important trends right now is how the AI can affect the court system and can affect the law practice, because now judges receive a memo and briefing from the lawyers written by AI, and then the AI come up with fake case laws. So that's something we really need to pay attention in the future, how to distinguish that particular memo is drafted by AI or by a human mind. Whether that case law does not exist or is real, whether it's made up by the AI. So the technology really affects our judicial system and the legal system. That's very important. Thank you very much.
All right. And for Judge Malik, our final question. How have you fostered diversity and inclusion in past professional settings? And how will you continue to support those values on the Supreme Court bench? If you can give us any examples.
As I mentioned, Rena Malik, being the first South Asian judge elected in Brooklyn was really meaningful to me. So I have had leadership roles with the South Asian Bar Association, Asian American Bar Association, particularly serving as the Judiciary Committee co-chair, where I've helped other judges get mostly appointed to the bench, whether it's mayoral or court of claims or even federal, and just to provide a pipeline and share awareness about underrepresentation about Asian Americans in the court and in the legal profession, generally speaking. But what was really meaningful to me is my work with the Sotomayor Judicial Internship Program, Justice Sotomayor, and it's called the Sonia and Selena Sotomayor Judicial Internship Program. I was on the board of director for 4 or 5 years, but I still every year serve as a volunteer to interview candidates at the high school level, college level, and law school level. I interviewed a high school student many years ago, and she was of Sri Lankan descent, but she emailed me when I became a judge, telling me how important it was, how impactful it was to her to see a South Asian woman as a court attorney in the court system. And it actually inspired her to pursue a career in the law, and she'll be going to Georgetown Law School this fall. I also used that opportunity to, one year I remember recommending one Black boy he was from Canarsie to the high school division program, and he ended up being the only person that was a Black male in the program in that summer. And I was so happy because we have to uplift all of our underserved communities, including our most vulnerable. Thank you.
All right, so now we will be segueing into our closing remarks. Need I remind you, the closing remarks will be a minute. Because we're pressed for time, any audience that need to ask a question, please feel free at the end of the event or during our breaks to ask our lovely candidates here the questions that you may have. Now we're going to start this way. We're going to go down for the closing remarks, 1 minute, and introduce yourselves again. Thank you.
Please keep an eye on Tony. He'll let you know when you're out of time. Oh, he's over there. So keep an eye on me.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for your time this evening. My name is Maria Aragona. I wanted to impress that I have been in the shoes of the people that appear before me, and I take that with me every day on the bench. That's why I treat everyone the way I wish my family was treated when they were in the court system. I have a diverse background of experience, not only in guardianship and Supreme Court work, as working as a court attorney for over a decade, but I was also in private practice, so I know what it's like to practice as an attorney, representing clients, some of which I've represented in the Integrated Domestic Violence Court, victims of domestic violence, going through matrimonial and family court matters. In addition, I've served in criminal court. I serve on acting as judge, weekend arraignments, and as well as just the jury trials, and especially the most vulnerable in the guardianship part. I hope to gain your support. Thank you.
Thank you again. My name is Claudia Daniels DePeister. I'm going to close on 3 points. One, I had an LGBTQ court attorney. I also hire students of color to give them an opportunity. And my LGBTQ court attorney is now a sitting judge in criminal court in Manhattan. Second, I will require attorneys to submit affidavits that if they're going to cite AI in their cases, that they have to verify that they read the cases before they submit them to the court. And that's an affidavit they have to submit to the court. And finally, I was cut off early on. I give a letter to people when I sentence them. The letter's from me, I sign it. I encourage them to do programming while incarcerated and to better themselves, try to finish school. And I say in my letter, I believe in you and I want you to believe in yourself. Thank you, and I hope I get your vote for Supreme Court as a judge. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Thank you so much. My name is Jill Epstein. In my private practice, I was New York litigation counsel for Rhino Records. I had a very active entertainment practice. A third of my practice was also matrimonial work. And I was of counsel to a civil rights firm, and we did housing and employment discrimination. And I did volunteer work with volunteer lawyers for the arts, helping new artists with their contracts and with their legal matters. And then I brought that experience, my experience as a law clerk in both civil and in Supreme Court. And now I brought that experience with me to civil court, and I hope to bring my 40 years of experience and varied expertise to Supreme Court to better serve the people of Brooklyn. Thank you so much.
Brian Gottlieb, and before I go any further, I'd like to say the two words that my mother always said were the most important in the English language. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hearing us. And that leads me into something that I always thought of in terms of paraphrasing Maya Angelou, who said, people may not always remember what you say to them. They won't remember how you act, but they will always remember how you make them feel. And that's why for me, in addition to the community service that was always beaten into my head by my late mother, it's important that all people, whatever shape, size, color, it doesn't matter. A person is a person is a person. They deserve to be treated with respect. They deserve to be treated fairly. They deserve to be heard, not marginalized, not treated in a way that they feel that they're invisible or not heard or ignored. And that's why it's important to me to have an open courtroom. It's important to make sure that everybody who walks away from my bench says, you know what, the judge listened, the judge paid attention, the judge heard, the judge saw me. And that's why I've always said, you may not like the ruling I make, but it's important to know that everybody who walks away from my courtroom knows that they've been heard, knows that they've been listened to, and that they've been taken into account. That nobody is invisible, nobody is ignored.
Norma Jennings. Again, I'd just like to say thank you to all the district leaders for organizing this forum. Like I said, it's important that everyone knows the judge that they're voting for, or hopefully will vote for, what their experience is, and how they impact, how they work with the community. For me, I've been a judge for 6 years. Housing court is part of civil court. It is the same court, it's the same laws that apply. Each court has their own individual rules as well and laws, but the CPLR applies to every court. So my experience in in housing court translated to civil court and will also translate to Supreme Court, where I'll be able to basically hit the ground running and hear cases and do trials. I've been doing trials for over 2.5 years. Not only was I a housing court judge, but I was also the county supervisor. So I understand the impact of how the court runs on the community and work to improve those. to improve the way the community work, or the court work with the community, and to provide resources and services for the community. So I am ready and I'm qualified, and I thank you, and I hope that I can get your support. And I thank you again for giving me the opportunity. Thank you. Have a good night.
Does this one work? Does this one work? We can hear you, Wendy. Okay. Does this one work? I speak loud. First of all, I want to thank chairman, chairwomen, all the district leaders, all the state committee members, all the judicial delegates, all the friends here to listen to us. I'm Wendy Lee. I'm a judge of the Civil Court. I'm seeking your nomination to the Supreme Court because I have already done the Supreme Court work. I'm doing the work, so help me to get here. I have done lots of jury trials and bench trials, issued lots of decisions, but most importantly, I'm standing here tonight to tell you the story that coming from hunger and poverty, we didn't have that much means. I had to work through school to support myself. And now from the humble beginning, New York gave me the chance to succeed, to become a partner at a top firm and become a judge. And I want to show the example to the young people that I mentor, that as an immigrant like myself, if I can become a partner, become a judge, so can they. Because the point here, the point with lots of opportunities that I never had before, because I'm newcomer, no connections. So the American dream is still alive, but needs lots of hard work, needs persistence, and needs a community that lift each other. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to have a good Supreme Court justice. So we need to have the court accessible to everybody with a language interpreters, maybe have the alternative working hours so the working class, they can come back to the court without being afraid of losing their job. And thank you so much for your support.
Rena Malik, good evening again. So to kind of off of what my last question and answer, the reason why I'm so involved in the Sotomayor program, Asian American Bar, South Asian Bar, Asian Youth Society, I mean, I never, in a first generation family, I was just expected to go to med school and become a doctor. I never had any lawyers in my family, or family friends. I never knew it could be a path for me. And so I want to make sure that I have that opportunity. I've spoken with the Chief Judge about civic engagement. We have to encourage our youth. I will be a mentor to anyone who asks me. I have a little army of interns. You'll see them all over the courthouse. And for me, also, my court attorney, she's disabled. She's just been battling cancer for chemo for the last 6 months. But that's the thing, is that I give everybody a chance. I don't make judgments about anybody and their capabilities. Justice Sotomayor just 2 weeks ago said, don't let anyone tell you, no, you can't do something. And so that's my motto, and I really try to live with that. And I am ready to hit the ground running in Supreme Court, having done it for 10 years in handling some of the most general run-of-the-mill towards personal injury, contract, real property, but also niche areas, civil forfeitures, False Claims Act, Child Victims Act, which was a very unique and sensitive part under legislature. I'm efficient with 0 outstanding reports and no overdue motions. I'll promise you every case will be heard effectively and accurately. Thank you very much.
All right, so we have come to the end. Because we are over time, we are going to be taking one audience question, and we are only going to have 3 people answer it. You had your hand up first, so we are going to have your question. District Leader Henry Butler has joined us, so we are acknowledging. Thank you for coming. So if you would please, if you're comfortable with saying your name and your
comfortable
and your
saying my name.
question.
My name is Rachel Cyprian, and you guys are here asking us for your votes. Correct? Am I correct? So we want to know what is going on in Brooklyn. Why are so many people that look like me losing their homes to deed theft and no one doing anything? You're here looking for a job today, so you're asking for our votes. But when we come into your office, we're getting robbed, not at gunpoint, by people in black robes. This is the Tulsa in Brooklyn in 2025. And when is it gonna end? My parents came here from Haiti and they didn't get the help that the migrants got the other day. My parents had to work for everything they had. And we have a home in Brooklyn, in Canarsie to be specific. And I've been fighting for my home for 15 years and going for people that look just like you and haven't gotten any justice. You're coming here, you're saying the pretty words that Malcolm X said you would say, and I don't see justice. So I want you to explain to me, why is it taking 15 years for me and many other people in the coalition that I have started, the Black Homeowners Preservation Coalition? Why is it taking so many years for us to get justice? And while you're getting paid and you're living your life, we're suffering. Explain that to me. And I want to be nice, I want to be cordial. I'm not an angry black woman, but guess what? Many black men go before judges and they get time like they get in cancer. So Justice Chen, right here, this judge, he's giving Sanford Sony, a man that stole over 500 homes. He's facing 7 years. We have a man in our coalition that got mixed up with one house, and he went to jail for 3 years and probation for 9 years. Why is that? Explain. Thank you. The question is, excuse me, I said, why you scamming me? He's so upset why you scamming. No, he's so upset why you scamming. He's so upset why you scamming. Okay, I can say, but I'm asking. She asked me, what's the question? The question is, what are you guys doing? And why are we losing our homes? And why is gentrification such a problem in Brooklyn, New York? Where were these gentrified people when we were ducking bullets? When we were stepping over bodies? Where were they? And where are we supposed to go?
All right, first, just for the general, before they answer, just so you know the process. So these judges here, not everybody sits in a part of the court that addresses foreclosure or deed theft, just so you know. So not everybody on this panel can answer the question. That's one. Two, as judges, and according to ethics and conducts and stuff like that, they cannot answer any personal cases. Now, we can ask anyone who does foreclosure courts, and maybe they can talk about the process, okay? Because a lot of us don't know about the process, okay? How, how is a way a person can save their homes and so forth. But I'm gonna tell you something, I say when. We're all in the same boat, okay? So your struggle is my struggle. And if you look me up, I represent Little Haiti, okay? And people can tell you. Okay, yes. People can tell you, in fact, so much that sometimes people think that I'm too Haitian because I do only things for Haitians, which is not true, all right? I do things for everybody. However, let me allow them, how many of you are dealing with foreclosure courts? Or deed theft?
I do guardianship, so I've had connected cases to deed theft. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So I do guardianship matters. I've had connected cases to deed thefts, but I am not the presiding judge on a deed theft case. In my guardianship matters, I appoint counsel to the people who are alleged to be incapacitated, and I have appointed special counsel to represent the people who have a connected deed theft case or foreclosure case, who have expertise in that matter, so that they can be prepared to go before that judge and properly represent it.
Don't guardianship sell the houses as well away from the tenants?
Guardianship?
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
so,
sorry.
so
The
just.
question is,
Does guardianship
There's
goes
property
to
to
housing,
guardianship.
like tenants?
so guardianships involves tenants' cases where they've asked for stays of eviction. In housing court cases, those cases ultimately will then, if a guardian is appointed, go.
Guardianship representatives also sell the houses.
Yeah, so to your point, I agree. Wait, let me just say this.
Yeah, guardianship.
So I agree with you. Because sometimes the way they appoint these people, they appoint their friends and they take, there's a way that they get money to take their assets. Right. But it's not all guardians like that. So to your point, I know myself and Senator Roxanne Prasad, we have a bill on guardianship because there is a concern that we feel that there are a number of crooked guardianships who are appointed and they take advantage to people who are allegedly incapacitated. We know that. Yes. But
No, I'm just.
right. Right. So we know because as an assemblywoman, I get these cases in my office that these guardians are taking their property, their assets, and sometimes the court, because people don't have ways of presenting themselves, right? They don't have good representation or right to counsel. So when they come, they cannot necessarily speak for themselves. They cannot assert their rights. So when you're in a position like that, a lawyer who may be able to converse with the judge a little bit more affluently will take the advantage of saying that someone is incapacitated and that they need guardian. So there is some issues that I know that it's a law that we have to change. Those are laws that we have to change. And we have to tell the court
to build a home from the people, and they're doing it to the elderly Black people.
I understand that, but we have to put in laws to put in a process to oversee how those guardians are being selected. I know that. I know. I'm with you.
Hello, oh, sorry. No, I'm gonna let her ask a question. So in the interest of time, this will be the final question for you. The next panel can take the other question, so it's even and we get to hear from everyone, okay? Is that fair? Okay, thank you.
So my question is related to the process. Right, we find a lot of times in court that the judges on the bench will violate due process at will. So when I say that, and what I mean is, I would like to know, how do you feel about being on the record? Do you allow all of your plaintiffs or cases that come before you to be on the record, or do you go into your chambers and have secret off the record and hide and not allow the process? Another part of this, are you going to be committed to your oath of office or to the party? Right? So we're very concerned about that. What we're finding is that through the Brooklyn Democratic Party, we're looking at the judges that we have already given our vote to. And when we go into their courtroom, these are the judges that are denying us justice. Right? And so we are now taking a position to be very, very critical about who we give our vote to. Right? Because we really, really need to understand this, because judges going into their chambers to conduct cases, and so that there's no witnesses to what's going on, is a problem. Big problem. Because when you appeal, you need to have the record. So I want to know your position on due process.
Okay, Claudia and Jill. And those, yeah.
So remember, I said there are instances where I don't have court officers and I do the case virtually.
I still have a court reporter taking down everything that's happening. So I may not be in the courtroom, I may be in my chambers, and the witness and the defendant and his attorney are in the hallway. We're doing the case, but the court reporter is still taking down everything that's happening. I do not waive due process. So if I have a sidebar with an attorney and the prosecutor, I go back on the record to discuss what we discussed. I am not speaking to one side. I speak to both sides. I don't have ex parte communications, which means I'm only speaking to the defense attorney, or I'm only speaking to the prosecutor. That doesn't happen with me. So I can't speak for everybody else, but anytime I do a hearing, I have a court reporter taking it down, whether we're in the courtroom or I'm trying to expedite time for people who came to court at 9:30 and I don't have court officers to open my bar. I'm going to do it virtually, but I also have a court reporter taking everything down.
What about the judges who don't do that?
I can't.
One question, second panel.
Okay, just briefly. Every case we call is done on a recording system in civil court. There are different due process rules that Judge DePeister has to deal with in criminal court than I have to deal with in civil. But we do not do a case without having it on the recording system. If your case is going to be called, it's going to be done on the record. If it's going to trial or a hearing, there's going to be a court reporter. I can't speak to what other people do or have done in the past, but we don't do that. And it may be that times have changed, and that's a good thing. But we don't speak, as Judge DePeister said, we don't speak to one side without the other unless we've asked your permission in trying to settle a civil case. Again, different from criminal court, but nobody should ever walk out of the courtroom feeling that they've been taken advantage of or that justice hasn't been done. And I'm so sorry that you've had that experience, but I'm sure I join with my colleagues in saying we hope that never happens again.
So we want to thank the panel, this first panel here. We want to thank the audience for their questions. I know you have a question, we can save it for the second panel, but real quickly, while we do a transition, because we have to do this really fast, and we have about 8 to 9 of the candidates, we want to hear from them because they're very informed. So I'm going to ask the council to stand. I'm going to have district leaders come to the front of the room. In the meantime, stay for a photo. And the council leader, second group, Marva Brown, Shamil, Durfin, Javier, Carmen, Beverly, Lola, Jacqueline Williams, and Linda Wilson, in that order.
Yeah.
Just get lined up in the meantime.
Please also get some refreshments.
Yeah.
Use the
Just
restroom.
get lined up. Don't change places. Just get lined up. Line up over here. You have to line up after Marva. And the district leaders. If you're a district leader, going once, going twice. District leaders, last call. Oh, if you're district leader not here, that's it. All right. So district leader, go behind the table real quickly. Okay. And we're doing the photo because we want to make sure people are informed, right? We want to make sure that we're recording this. We want to make sure that we take photos. We have names to the faces. So when you go to the court, you can say, I know that judge, I know that person. So while they're lining up here, please, you can help yourself to some refreshments. District leaders, last call for photos. For photo, please, last call. Judges, you can sit. District leaders stand. Judges sit. District leaders stand. Hold on, Sabrina, are you here? Any more district leaders? Okay, Javier, district leader? District leader? Okay, Sabrina, say what? Yes, we are. For the
Can you look
first
at
check.
my direction and then I'll tell you to look at that, okay? So 1, 2, 3. Now please look at flag.
All right, 1, 2, 3. We're gonna do one more. 1, 2, 3. Okay, perfect.
Justice. And we're gonna thank our judges, our new set of judges. Please have a seat, Mr. Lee, please stay. Okay, in the order in which you're given, Barbara Brown, Seville, Durban. From the top, right here, right? Yep, from the top right there. Here, Carmen,
All right. Listen, please. Let's calm down. Let's stop making any noise, please. Okay.
Okay. One mic, attention everyone. I know it's a very robust forum. Attention.
One mic.
Attention, everyone, attention, thank you. Attention once again. Attention, everyone. Okay.
About to start.
We're starting. Attention, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
Please, one mic.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. There's a lot of information up on the stage. We want to make sure we give this panel the same respect we gave the other judges. So we want to make sure that they get allocated time and we all hear from them. So we're going to have a seat. Real quickly, the interest of transition, so we don't have to lose a second time. Leaders, please come up for your photos. We'll do it in advance. We'll start the forum and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. So last call for district leaders. Any district leaders? No. Any district leaders left? Okay, that's it? Okay. Okay. All right. One. Okay. On the count of 3, please okay. 1, 2.
Joe.
You're
Put your head in the way, Joe.
1, 2, 3, look my way. Okay, now look at
All
flag.
right, everybody, look at me. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. All right.
Thank you. Now, before we begin, I must acknowledge we do have one other candidate, Miss Lola Waterman. She's traveling, so she's trying her best to make it here. But this is one candidate she's not here just yet. So if she does attend or make it in time, we'll let her join the panel.
All right, everybody, in the interest of time, we're gonna get started. So please, let's keep quiet. Everybody, if you are making your way out, we're asking you to please do that silently. Everyone, thank you. All right. We don't need to tell you guys how this is working because it's going to be working exactly the same as it worked last time. So, candidates, we're going to start again with our opening remarks. Each of you will have 1 minute, just like last time. Tony is going to be our timekeeper, just like last time. Your 1 minute introduction is going to include your name, your title, and the court that you're currently sitting. You are also allowed to speak about your history, your experience, anything that you fit in your 1 minute time. So we're going to start with Ms. Marva. You can please start, state your name loudly, and use the mic as well now that we have the mic.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judge Marva Brown. I am elected Judge Marva Brown. Good evening, everyone. I'm Judge Marva Brown. I'm elected countywide in November 2023. So I thank the Democratic Party and the Working Families Party for their support when I was elected in 2023. Since 2024, I've been sitting in the Manhattan Criminal Court where I preside over felony arraignments and misdemeanor cases. Prior to taking the bench, I was a public defender for 17 years, where I litigated cases in Brooklyn, the Bronx, and Nassau County, defending people who were charged with crimes. The most important part of my practice, I think, was making sure that I represented the total client. And so, as my job as a public defender, not only did I litigate in court, but I looked at what brought the person to the criminal courts, and we addressed their needs, whether it was substance use issues, mental health issues, and we also looked at underemployment, undereducation, housing insecurity, which I know is very important to you all that are here tonight. And so I take those lessons that I learned, the resources and the knowledge and the experience from the bench, or from my practice to me with the bench, to make sure that I'm able to give those same services to the people that appear in front of me in court. So thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chevelle Mims, and I'm one of your elected civil court judges, elected countywide 2022 right here in Brooklyn. And I want you to know that I've been proud to be your public servant in the court system since that time. I was first assigned to the criminal court upon my initiation into tenure as a judge. I worked right there at 120 Skimmerhorn Street, presiding over criminal court cases, concluding in that court as the presiding judge in the all-purpose youth part. That's the part that focuses on young people intersecting with our court system, 18 to 24 years old. I would work with defense attorneys and prosecutors alike, as well as organizations, to carve out alternatives to incarcerating these individuals that would allow them to align on the right trajectory for their lives. I'm now sitting in the civil court, 141 Livingston Street, a court in which I have a long history. I've worked in this court system for now nearly 17 years. I've worked in the family court, criminal court, civil court, Supreme Court. I've handled just about every type of case, and I look forward to speaking to you more about my experience, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Deraphim Bernadette Nichols, and currently I am an acting Supreme Court Justice, and I sit in the foreclosure court in Brooklyn. I handle residential, commercial, and tax lien cases. I've been doing this for 3 years in the Supreme Court. Now, prior to that, I served in the criminal court for 2 years. I covered the youth court, like Chevelle did. I also covered arraignments and felony and domestic violence cases during the COVID period of time. I also served in the civil court for 2 years, and in that capacity, I handle all types of cases: personal injury, contract cases, small claims matters, landlord-tenant matters, whatever it is the civil court judges handle, I handle. Prior to that, I worked with an administrative judge. I worked with her for 10 years. I started off with her in the civil court. When she got elected, we got elevated to the Supreme Court, and then she moved on to the appellate division. When she moved on to the appellate division, the court administration appointed me to serve in a quasi-judicial role. So for 7 years, I had my own trials. I had my own courtroom. I settled cases. I played a major part in the foreclosure part, whereby I was able to save thousands of homes from going into foreclosures by working with homeowners. I have over 25 years of experience. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Judge Javier Ortiz. I was born in Brooklyn. I live in Brooklyn. I've lived in my neighborhood the past 40 years. I was elected in Brooklyn. I came here today to present my qualifications for Supreme Court, and I think I'm qualified, but after further consideration, speaking to my loved ones, my wife, my advisors, I'm going to withdraw my name for candidacy for Supreme and focus my energy for next year. I want to thank everyone, thank all district leaders. I just think that next year is a better opportunity for me. We have great candidates this year. I've spoken to my trusted advisors, my district leaders for District Leader Ceballos, District Leader Davila, District Leader Butler, District Leader Trainer Cooper, and I just think after speaking with my wife, it's the best thing for me to step away and allow everyone else to move forward with their candidacy. I just want to thank everyone. I hope you consider me for 2026 if there is an opportunity. Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'm just going to step away just not to cause any confusion. Have a good night.
All right, before we move on, I just want to acknowledge Assemblymember Stephanie Zimmerman for the 56th District. If you'd like to come up here and say hi to everybody. Thank you for being here with us.
Good evening, everyone. I guess that's my courtroom voice. We're gonna leave it like that. Can everyone hear me? Yes. There you go. My name is Carmen Angelica Pacheco. I have been practicing, where I had practiced for about 36 years, and now I'm in the court system. I was a community attorney before I became a judge. When I was, as a community attorney, I was representing you. That's who I am. And that's where my love has been for all those years. But now I'm a judge. I started out as I'm the administrative judge of 141 Livingston Street, not the supervising judge of 141 Livingston Street. And I'm also an acting Supreme Court judge. As I started out, outside of being that, we'll get to that, I started out in the criminal court system. And in the criminal court system, you do every system, you have to follow the law. But at the same time, what is it that you have to do? You can create policy. As a judge, you can create a policy. When I was in the Bronx, my policy was to take the VTLs, the 509, people with suspended licenses, people who couldn't pay their bills, and create a policy, and say to them, if they fix their license, will you dismiss that case? And you know what the DI said? Yes, we will. So that's who I am, and I will tell you a little bit more about me later.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, my name is Beverly Tatham, and I was elected to civil court as a judge in 2022 in the 7th Municipal District, which covers East New York and Brownsville and Bushwick, where I live in Brownsville. I own the home that my parents, when they first came to this country, lived in that home as renters. So I understand, and I bring that level of lived experience with me, those types of lived experiences with me when I'm on the bench. I was assigned to Manhattan Criminal Court, where I also, with Judge Brown, preside over misdemeanor and felony arraignments, as well as sitting in an AP part. I also have the great pleasure of serving as the judge in the ATM part. ATM means alternative to incarceration on misdemeanor cases. And what we do in that case, in those parts rather, is for individuals who are committed to transformation. We connect them to services. We try to fill the gaps that brought them to the criminal justice system. And it's some of the things that I'm most proud of being in criminal court. When I'm not on the bench, I am a community organizer. I work with young people to help them to realize that it is important for them to start being civically engaged and empowered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay. Oh, thank you. I am Jackie Williams. I'm an acting Supreme Court Justice sitting in 2 courts. So that is a unique experience to to myself, and certainly with respect to some of my colleagues. I carry 2 case loads. I sit in both matrimonial as part of Civil Supreme, and I sit in the family court where I have been for the past 12 years. So for my total time on the bench is 19 years. I have been sitting, I've sat in the criminal court, in civil court, and for these past 12 years, in both matrimonial and the family court. I hear cases in the matrimonial part involving divorces. I'm tracking to complete about 250 divorces over the course of this year. In terms of the family cases, I hear child abuse and child neglect cases. Those are cases that are quite difficult, quite emotional, involve certainly the most important parts of our lives. And to that end, I work on issues involving reunification of families when children are separated from their parents. I also work on cases involving our youth, ensuring that they can receive the types of solutions, guidance, resources that will help them to be able to lead productive and healthy and forward-leading lives. So to that end, I do enjoy the work that I do. With that being said, I will speak to the approach that I take in the courtroom with families and with our youth in particular.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'll add about education later.
Before we move on to the person, I'd like to acknowledge Shirley Patterson, former district leader of the 43rd Assembly District. Thank you for being here with us today.
Good evening, Brooklyn. My name is Judge Linda Wilson. I am a 3rd-generation Brooklynite, a mother of 6, and the child of very courageous parents who raised me with disabilities. My mom is Italian-American, my father is African-American from the Deep South, and my family has lived in this area of Brooklyn for my entire life and prior thereto. And I say these things because of my deep roots in the community and a family who taught me to advocate for the less fortunate and the voiceless. I ran for judge in 2023 after serving as a court attorney advising scores of judges since 1991 on any area of law that you can imagine. And so when I stepped into my candidacy, it was without fear or favor from anyone. I ran a county-wide race in Brooklyn without support from the Brooklyn Democratic Party, but I won the support of the people and I was elected to the civil court. So I thank the people for that. I am here today to seek the nomination from the district leaders of Kings County with the hope that they acknowledge that my work in disrupting justice in the courts for 35 years now will benefit all of the people in this county and the city and state as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to move on to the questions portion. Again, I'm going to remind you, please keep it under 2 minutes. We're going to start the question down from Margaret Brown all the way down here. Now, the first question is, currently, Why do you want to serve as Supreme Court Justice?
Hi, I'm Marva Brown. I want to serve as a Supreme Court Justice because I know that there is a need in the legal system for qualified, compassionate, and empathetic judges who know the law and are not afraid to use the law for the benefit of our people. As I stated, I was 17 years working as a public defender here in New York City, and it was very important to me to make sure that the law was used most effectively for the benefit of my clients. People join and enter the criminal legal system for many different reasons, and I know that as a Supreme Court judge, there are resources available to the community that can be used to improve people's lives. I'll also say, as a litigator, I'm uniquely prepared to preside over trials and hearings in the Supreme Court because I was actively practicing in the Supreme Court for many, many years. And I'm not afraid to pick a jury. I'm not afraid to ask the right questions and scrutinize the answers of those questions to make sure that justice is being served. I also have participated in scores of negotiations, right? Most cases don't go to trial. I love a good trial, but we know that there are pleas, negotiations, mediations that happen all the time. And those are conversations that I participated in as a lawyer, and I'm not afraid to get into the details as a judge. So I am uniquely qualified as a former litigator to preside over trials and also negotiate matters so that cases are not languishing in our courts for 15 years. Thank you.
Same question. You want me to repeat the question? Okay.
Why do I want to become a Supreme Court judge?
Yes.
All right. Chevelle Mims, currently serving in the civil court. I'm actually running for this nomination and seeking your support because, you know, I've done this work for many, many, many years. My philosophy as a general matter in the judiciary is that, you know, it's not just about black letter law, statutes, regulations, codes, case law, but I do understand that the law that we work with, the cases that come into the Supreme Court, it's about people's lives, their stories, their circumstances, their family legacies. And so there's a stark difference between the types of cases that would typically be presented in the civil court versus the cases in the Supreme Court. You do require a higher level of expertise and a broader perspective. Why? Because now you have cases involving NYCHA housing. You have cases involving the MTA, city agencies. And so the effect of your decisions have a ripple effect that affect a much broader swath of people in our community. And I've done this kind of work. I know what it means to handle a 3,200 caseload. I understand the importance of hearing out attorneys who are zealously advocating for their clients, who perhaps owns a business somewhere in this neighborhood or in Williamsburg and is facing issues with tenants or other community members that are causing issues with the business. And so there's money on the table, there's legacy on the table, there's jobs on the tables, there's equity that's being sought, meaning fairness. And so I tell you that I have the courage to do that. I've faced these kinds of decisions in these kinds of cases the entirety of my career. And so I think I'm uniquely suited to serve in the Supreme Court, do the kind of work that I've done before, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Again, Restream Bernadette Nichols, and I serve in the Supreme Court as an acting justice. As I mentioned, I cover the foreclosure part. I've been in that part for a very long time. I was one of the judges who was selected to be in that part. It's a very complicated part. It's a very difficult part. It's a very heavy part. Right now, I have over 3,000 foreclosure matters that I'm presiding over in the foreclosure part. Why do I want this position? I've been doing this for a very long time. I started off as a court attorney referee, settling cases, doing loan modifications, saving homes. Thereafter, I was put in that part for a reason. When I got to Supreme Court, the administrative judge said to me, I selected you for that part because I know you can handle it. You've done marvelous work before, and I know you can continue the good work. I've been serving the people of Brooklyn, the Brooklyn community. I want to continue to do that at a higher level. Not only that, but I do have aspirations. I would love to go to the appellate division. As an acting Supreme Court justice, we cannot go to the appellate division unless we are elected as a Supreme Court justice. My decisions are used, the civil courts are guided by my decisions. I would love to go to the appellate division to rule on constitutional issues like some of the judges have ruled. I would like to make laws. And foreclosure is very important to me. I've seen so many families become homeless due to the foreclosure crisis. I'm one of the judges who handle deed theft and fraudulent deed transfers, and I can address your questions if you like at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It is an epidemic still in Brooklyn.
Yes, it is.
And it's affecting
Black and brown people.
Thank you. And I do my best, and every single day I sit on the bench. Let me finish, please. And every day I sit on the bench. I exercise fairness, justice, equality. No one, everyone who comes before me have a fair opportunity to be heard. And I'll talk to you about when your home is in foreclosure. Please come into court. Do not sit home and put the notice aside. And that is something that I look into. As a judge, I scrutinize the papers. I have 2 court attorneys right now because of the workload. And as a judge, what we do is scrutinize the papers, make sure notices are sent out, default notices and everything else. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reminder that we keep our answers to 1 to 2 minutes.
And good evening once again. My name is Carmen Angelica Pacheco. I am my father's from Peru, my mother's from Puerto Rico. Like I said, I started my practice prior to becoming the supervising judge and the supervising judge and acting Supreme Court judge as a private practitioner with my business partner. We started the first Hispanic woman-owned law firm in New York to create the bridge between Wall Street and Main Street to balance the equities. We represented the community at large for decades. And now I'm in the court system, looking at it from a different lens, but the same lens that I know. I'm a product of NYCHA. I grew up in Gowanus housing. You too? Yeah, Gowanus housing, let's go. And then thereafter, we moved to another area of Brooklyn, which is Marine Park. But I lived in Brooklyn and now I'm in Carroll Gardens. I came back home for many, many years. My office was also outside of the World Trade Center, being the first Latino organization. We opened up an office on Atlantic Avenue where we dealt with a lot of the individuals and a lot of the crises that we see here that's before the courts. You know, the one thing that I've heard and I've seen and what you really want to talk about here is you want to be heard. You want someone not just to hear your voice, but you want to be listened to. You want people not just to see you, but you want to feel you. And that's the kind of judge that I am. I connect because that's what I've done for over 36 years as a practitioner. I connect with the people. I want to hear and listen to you because I know when the lawyer is standing in front of me, there's someone that's behind that attorney, and that's you. That's all of you. And that's what happens in the local court, the community court, where you have people who have $10,000 issues, and you know that attorney is the community lawyer, because how much would you possibly charge for a $2,000, $3,000 issue, And that's how I feel, because I see and I listen to all of you, and I understand really what the needs are, and I understand what's happening.
Thank you.
Hello again, my name is Beverly Tatham, and why do I want to go to the Supreme Court? I'm here to seek your nomination, principally because when I ran my own campaign, I knocked on doors in communities and I asked for your vote, and the people who elected me wanted to see me in Brooklyn, and I'm currently not in Brooklyn, I'm in Manhattan, so I'm looking to come back. Before I took the bench, I spent 20 plus years down in the Supreme Court. That's all I did. I was a civil litigator representing clients day in and day out. So I am uniquely informed and aware of some of the inadequacies and the gaps in the Supreme Court system. And heard earlier today that one of the things that we need are more court officers. Well, we need a lot of other things in the Supreme Court. We need more judges, we need interpreters, we need stenographers, and we also need more people on the bench and in the courthouse who are bringing their lived experiences to that place. I see the courthouse as a place and an opportunity for transformation. It's a place where people bring their disputes, and as Judge Pacheco says, they want to be heard, right? And so our job, our sole job, is to ensure that everyone has access, equity, and that they are receiving fair justice. And I think when everyone has an opportunity to be heard, everyone has an opportunity to have their fair day in court, then we all have a better justice system and we all leave there feeling more empowered for the next time, right? And so some of the things that we should be spending some time in the courthouse, and I think is important, is about conversations and education and awareness. Right? And being able to use that person-to-person experience when someone is simply not ready to have that conversation, to be able to use some emotional intelligence to say, you know what, let's recess, let's take a break, let's bring the temperature down and then try to talk this through. Right? And so those are the things that I want to bring to the court system. I am a certified mediator, and I understand that when people have disputes, they don't want anyone to tell them that they're right or wrong. They want to be heard, and they want an opportunity to come together to be able to fashion a resolution that they want. And that's the thing that I think is most missing in our court system. Thank you.
All right, Jackie Williams, why do I want to go to the Supreme Court, and why am I asking for your nomination? Well, this Brooklyn girl from East New York for the past 40 years wishes to show how I can serve this community, our entire community of Brooklyn, in an even greater capacity. I'm currently doing the work in part as part of the matrimonial team in Civil Supreme, and I'm certainly handling cases at a level in the family court that reach that level of emotional seriousness and certainly affect families at their most needed and vulnerable moments in their lives. In addition to that, I know that my approach to how I conduct how I manage my cases and how I conduct myself in the courtroom lends to that particular experience at the Supreme Court level. My family, hailing from Panama, has experienced what many immigrant families experience when they come into the U.S. You get to know your environment. You have to understand how to navigate various systems, including at times court systems. My family has experienced that, and as a result of their experiences, just in terms of adapting to life in the U.S., life in the Brooklyn, they have instilled in myself and my sibling certain core values that I carry into the courtroom every day. It's important to me that the issues that come before me are treated with compassion, that the families are treated with compassion, with a sense of urgency, with a sense of where can we go within the confines of the law. What are the resources? What are the solutions? How do we look at families, one family at a time, to enable those families to be able to find the right solutions, to be able to manage hope and possibility for their young people, for their children. And so that's what I look at every day. And my courtroom staff supports me 100% in doing that. I've had a court clerk recognized as the court clerk of the year. I've had a court officer recognized by the chief judge of New York State for the work that is going on within my courtroom, because my staff and we look to make sure that that experience that anyone has when they come into that courtroom is just, is fair, is the opportunity for them to share what is burdening them, to share what hurts, to talk about what is a possibility for their children. And that's why I believe that in an increased capacity, in a greater manner, I'm going to be serving you well, as I have and for these 19 years, and certainly county-wide, because I certainly ran in a very busy county-wide race many, many years ago. And I thank you for listening.
Hello again, Judge Wilson here. The reason I would like to be a Supreme Court Justice here in Kings County is because what I understand from the folks who appear before me, from my neighbors and friends and community, and from my own experience, is that people want to be heard, but even when they cannot be heard, they want the court to do something. And so I understand, based upon my 3 decades of experience working as a public servant in the courts, that there are a lot of tools in my arsenal as a judge. And while I was elected as a civil court judge, I have been assigned to criminal court. And so I've been working there for the past 1.5 years. The totality of my experience in the court system gives me a lot of tools in my arsenal to make sure that I can implement justice wherever I am. I understand nuance. I have touched every single area of law you can mention, including maritime law, zoning law, any number of Article 78 cases, matters involving real property, criminal court appeals, and as well as foreclosure matters. As a court attorney in the appellate division, I was assigned to be the foreclosure specialist. Prior to that, I was a foreclosure specialist in the Supreme Court, where I worked for 20 years as a court attorney, advising many judges. Did someone just cut the mic? But I am very passionate about the work that I do in community, and so I am running because I want to be the change, not just talk about change, but utilize all the tools that we have in our legislative and statutory enactments and in the case law to make sure that the justice that the people seek is effectuated. We can do that, but we have to be able to see the nuance.
Thank you. All right, we're going to be asking each of the individual candidates different questions. Again, I'm going to have to remind you, just keep it a minute, 2 minutes is the max, and then we're going to cut it off. So please try your best to keep it a minute. So we'll start with Margaret Brown. Describe the breadth of your experience with the different case types heard in the Supreme Court and how that experience prepares you to decide matters fairly and impartially.
Well, as a practicing attorney for 17 years, I represented clients charged with a host of criminal cases. And in the Supreme Court realm, that's anywhere for theft, grand larcenies valued of $1,000. I did DWI cases at the felony level, rape cases, and homicides, felony assaults, shootings, simple gun possessions, and litigated drug cases at the felony level as well. And so my experience in Supreme Court is very extensive. Again, in the courtroom every single day of my legal career, not only as a practicing attorney, but also now as a judge in the Manhattan Criminal Court. And so when I think about my experience, I take with me a knowledge of what the worth of a case is, right? Sometimes we hear charges and we think it's the crime of the century, but then when you dig deeper, you do the facts, you listen, you do investigation, you hear all the facts, you hear from witnesses, you hear from experts, things change. And I think that when, as Judge Linda Wilson was talking about nuance, you need someone who has the experience that I have to be able to dig deeper and understand the complexity of cases so that you can reach the right result at the end. And so that's what I've done as an attorney and judge in Supreme Court. Thank you.
Yes, Judge Mims, your question is, what do you perceive as the greatest obstacle to justice currently facing our court system?
Thank you for the question. I think that one of the encumbrances to justice is I think it's really difficult if attorneys are not provided for individuals when you have an issue and are seeking redress and to address that issue in court. Courts can be difficult to navigate, right? They're difficult to navigate. There's motion practice with which people are unfamiliar. And so I think that not having the ability to hire an attorney or access to even a community attorney who does the pro bono work can be a real hindrance to justice. It was mentioned earlier by one of my other colleagues that we also have a human resource issue in the courts, all right? So you have, yes, we need judges, but to be a will and a spoke of justice, it sort of requires a collaborative efforts of lots of other people. So we need clerks and court reporters and interpreters and court officers. And, today, we have a hybrid work schedule that's been adopted by a lot of companies now. But, the courts require in-person appearance oftentimes. And so people aren't necessarily all that interested as they used to be in working in the court system. So I think that, just human resource is an issue. I think that not having an appropriate advocate for your type of case could be issues and impediments to justice. But I can say to you that I do understand that there are circumstances and there are real stories behind these cases, real people who are being affected. And I thank God for the judicial independence and cloak of authority given me to right a wrong, to understand that there may be some challenges, but it's my job, no matter what those challenges are, to ensure that justice is served. Thank you for the question.
Okay. What do you consider your greatest professional accomplishment?
Again, it's Seraphim Bernadette Nichols, acting Supreme Court Justice. My greatest accomplishment, becoming a judge, actually. As a judge, I have the ability to make changes that affect the lives of so many people in the community. Whether it's through the foreclosures, whether it's through the jury trials that I do, whether it's through the settlement conferences. Now, I do not take my position lightly, and if I get the nomination, it would be a great benefit to everyone, not just myself, but the community at large. Now, I started off as a young child in Grenada. I was raised in Grenada, and my parents taught me the value of hard work, good education, treating everyone with respect and humility and consideration. When I sit on the bench, people who come before me, I know when they appear me, I can see the relief, how relieved they are, because they know that they will get a fair opportunity to be heard. So now, being a judge puts me in a position, as I said, where I can affect changes. I know how to meet people halfway. And it's a serious issue right now in terms of dealing with the population, the minority population in Brooklyn. I do my best on a daily basis to make sure everyone gets the fair justice that they need.
Thank you.
Judge Pacheco, what areas of law did you practice as an attorney before taking the bench? And please also describe any pro bono or public service work you have done.
Hello. My name is Carmen Pacheco, and as a practitioner and being the first Hispanic woman owned law firm in New York, I've had the great opportunity to be able to take the gift that God has given me in being an attorney and the grace that has been given to me in order to give back because you never know why you're in one place and someone else is somewhere else when you're looking out. And those are gifts, and those are the greatest mysteries of life. So as a practitioner, I did foreclosure defense work, I did civil rights matters, employment, all on the defendant side. I did very minimal criminal work, although my practice did. We did a lot of trial work, litigation work, always thinking of from where we came from and from who we are. Remember, when I opened, the reasons why that I really want to be a Supreme Court judge is because it's the next step with all the experience that I have to be able to see you, to be able to listen to you, to be able to really understand, because I was your attorney when I did everything that I did. I represented each and every one of you in whatever capacity it was. There was a case that we talked about, when we were talking about before I heard about it. Candace Cash came to my office, and it's a published decision against Titan Financial, where there was this issue of deed theft. There was $77,000 that was missing. These people were acting in concert. The court got it wrong, but yet the attorney and his group of people ended up serving time in jail because I pressed on. So as an attorney, I understand and I will see if there's an issue that I feel is unjust. Always applying the law, but like I said, you can also do policy and really listen and see the people that are in front of you, because that is what this is about. Public service it is. You can't wait to, when you're walking in journey to something to be given to you, because along the way you have to give back. That is the most important thing. And always understand that you have to leave this world better than what you've received it.
Amen.
Because that is what we do as public servants. And there's nothing greater that I have done. I mean, I've done many things, but to serve the public for almost 40 years as an attorney has been the greatest gift of love that I could give back to a community of people. And I thank you all for being here, because I see you, I hear you, and I know that you're my people.
List your legal professional memberships, including bar associations or any other relevant affiliations.
Beverly Tatham. I am a member of the National Bar Association, as well as Judicial Friends, Metropolitan Black Bar Associations, and I've had various other affiliations. I think for me, however, the affiliation or the membership that I hold that is, I think for me, most important, in addition to being a judge, is that I serve as a director for a nonprofit organization that focuses on social health and economic justice from an advocacy standpoint. I think that service is the rent that we all pay for our space here. But I also think with that, before we even get to the court system, it is important. The thing that is most important is information. And our communities oftentimes do not have the information to be empowered to navigate the court system, or better yet, to avoid having to be in the court system. And so that's what we do as an organization, in addition to empowering young people to become civically engaged and to know the power of their voice, is also to provide services or sessions that are focused on kitchen table items like mental health, like generational wealth and protection of wealth, like during the pandemic when there was skepticism about COVID vaccinations. We did workshops on that. Like when we were all inside because it was COVID and no one knew how we were going to meet, and having to use virtual appearances and how to congregate as groups in a virtual setting, and just being able to provide that information to our communities, I think is the most valuable thing that I can do when I am not on the bench. It is about advocacy, it is about information, it's about raising awareness to our communities to make sure that you are informed, you're empowered, you're engaged, and hopefully when you go to court, it is not as an intimidating space as it normally would be for someone who doesn't have that information. Thank you.
Thank you.
judges need any additional training or continuing legal education?
In terms of training, Jackie Williams, in terms of training, what I attempt to do with young attorneys, when I say young attorneys, newly practicing attorneys that come into the courtrooms, and whether they are defense attorneys or prosecuting attorneys, is talk about what it means to be an advocate, what it means to be assisting your clients in a meaningful way. And I have the same mentoring relationship with newer judges. And I, again, talk to them about the way in which they want to develop a judicial voice. That is not something that is oftentimes thought about quickly when you take the bench. You just assume that you're going to use the law, exercise whatever mandates you have within the confines of the law, and certainly apply the facts to those situations. But there is a process of growing and developing and understanding how to listen to people, understanding how to conduct to make sure that the overall space that you're occupying is welcoming and it allows for someone to feel that comfort coming into the courthouses. That is something that the court system has been working on in recent years more than they had in the past. It's not always obvious, but it is part of the thought process from the supervising judges across the state. And we would like to be able to make that experience for litigants as they come in, whether you're pro se or you're represented, reflect the standard that shows that we do care, that we are listening, that we are engaged, and that we're knowledgeable and prepared, right? Being prepared is part of the process. Because if you're coming to court time after time and you're not making any progress, something's disconnected. And so that's what we want to address, and that into any aspect of training, continuing legal education, which we participate in annually and at times even more than that, makes us really think about those types of issues. And it's reflected in our decisions as well. Thank you.
How have you fostered diversity and inclusion in past professional settings? And how will you continue to support these values if you were to become a judge?
That's a great question. I think I fostered diversity just by showing up and centering humanity in all the spaces that I occupy. And so my name is Linda Wilson, by the way, and as I mentioned, I am a sitting judge in Brooklyn Criminal Court. And everyone who appears before me understands from me that I am keenly aware, because of my diverse background and the diverse experiences that I have encountered by virtue of being a lifetime Brooklynite, where people hail from all over the world, speaking different languages or different religions, and they're my neighbors and friends. And so with that being said, fundamentally, I do show up in all of the spaces that I do, representing everyone. And when you center one's humanity, you can cut out all the other fat. And it's a no-frills analysis of what needs to happen. And we're talking about, in most of the instances, when we're talking about diversity, we're really talking about the protections that the Bill of Rights have provided to us, right? So foundationally, we are a country of laws made by the people, for the people. And when the laws don't work, we have to look back into our Bill of Rights to realize that it was designed to protect us and to ensure our freedoms. And so there is diversity in that, in the freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to not incriminate yourself when charged with a crime that you may not be guilty of, or that you may be guilty of. And so diversity of thought, experience, race, creed, all of that is important when I go to the bench. In terms of bringing in young people, I have invited young people from schools all across the county, colleges across the city, and even law students from out of state to serve as interns in my office. And they comprise every race and nationality that's represented in this room. So thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
So we're gonna do our 1 minute of closing statements now. And then we are gonna take our community questions that we had from earlier that we didn't get to. So, we're gonna have our 1 minute closing statements. We're gonna start with Judge Brown. We're gonna go down to Judge Wilson. So, we're gonna just wait for the mic.
Good evening, I'm Marva Brown again. I feel like I didn't talk about my personal life, just my professional life, so I'll close with this. I was born in Westchester, raised in Albany to a teenage mother, and I say I shouldn't be here because she was 17 years old when she got pregnant with me, and my father told her to get an abortion. But the best thing that my mother did for me was pray for me and keep me around my grandparents. I was raised by corrections officers. And so throughout my life, I heard about people who were incarcerated, and that stuck with me because my grandparents told me, maybe you could help these people before they get to us in jail and prison. And so that is why I dedicated my life to criminal law. I studied African American studies at Columbia University in my undergraduate degree because I know my Black people are grossly impacted by the criminal legal system. I then went to the Benjamin N. Cardozo School of Law of Yeshiva University, where I focused in criminal law and interned with many nonprofit organizations. My life now is the law, my husband, my 3 children. We live right on the other side of Atlantic Avenue in Assembly District 43. And there I am president of the Friends of Broward Park, where we do all of the fun things in the park for the kids, the tree lighting, the Easter egg hunt, the leaf crunch in the fall. And I am on the board of Families and Friends of the Wrongfully Convicted. I've spoken out on the Close Rikers campaign. And the work that I do has always been justice impacted and justice involved in looking to reform the legal system and use the law for the benefit of my people. So I hope I have your support for Supreme Court. Thank you.
All right, good evening again. My name is Chevelle Mims, and I'll share with you a bit of my personal life. I'll tell you, from the age of 13, I didn't have the benefit of either of my 2 parents. I went on to go to high school and carved away from myself to go to college, and I did graduate college at 20 years old. Married young though. I moved to New York about 30 years ago, and here I raised both my children. I have a 33-year-old and a 28-year-old, and now 2 grandchildren, all of whom I love very much and have shown by example that to believe in yourself is one of the greatest gifts you can give to yourself. And once you believe in yourself and find a way forward for yourself, now you pay it forward. And that's what I've done in my work. I'm a service-oriented type of person. I enjoy working and serving others. I enjoy understanding others, their stories, their history, their goals. And so serving in this capacity has been one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I love the law, I love the judiciary, and I can tell you that I expect that going forward, I'll continue to be the type of judge that whoever encounters me will say, that judge is so fair, she's so kind. Even when I have bad news for you, I try to give it to you in a kind manner. That's my obligation as a judge, to be decisive, but still to give the information in a way that's amenable and received well by the people who appear before me. So I just want to thank you for your time this evening. Thank you for this opportunity, and take care, everybody.
And good evening again, this is Therapy Nichols, acting Supreme Court Justice. Now I thank everyone for the opportunity to be here, and also district leaders, everyone, thank you for putting the forum together. Now, I've been in the court system for a very long time, over 25 years of legal experience. I started off in private practice, whereby I did landlord tenant matters, immigration matters, and a variety of other matters for 3 years. Thereafter, I went into the court system and I've spent the rest of my career there. Every single day I sit on the bench. Every day I sit on the bench, I make sure that justice is done, and that's what I was elected to do. Now, if I get to be at the full Supreme Court Justice, I will continue the work that I've been doing. My decisions are great and well published. I write very clear and concise decisions. As I said, everyone gets a fair shot. And it's my obligation when I sit on the bench to make sure that there is no bias in my courtroom. You will get a fair opportunity. You may not win your case if the evidence isn't there, if the facts aren't there. But you can be sure, guaranteed, that you will get a fair trial. With all my experiences, I am quite suitable for the position. I thank you for your time.
No rubber stamp. Thank you.
Say it again, I can't hear you.
No rubber stamp. Thank you.
No rubber stamp.
Good evening again, and I thank all of you for coming and to listen to all of us and make an informed decision, because these are very important decisions, because you're actually formulating what is considered a court and a bench of people, and I thank you for that. I'm a graduate of St. John's University School of Law, 1986, where there was very few of us, and I was part of the BALSA, Black and Latino Law Student Association. I graduated St. John's with honors and was a published member of the Law Review at St. John's. Thereafter, I was the first Latina at a Wall Street firm, which wasn't easy. And after 6 years of being there, I started my own practice. Pacheco and Lugo, the first Hispanic woman doing law firm in New York, established in 1992 at One World Trade Center. I challenged the odds of being to getting to where I am today. But I've never forgotten the community from where I've come from. Like I said earlier, I represented people from the community, but I also had higher up clients who were able to pay for the people who couldn't afford the justice, because I don't believe that justice should be contingent upon the size of your wallet. And it's very important that justice is blind, okay? That when people come into the courtroom, it shouldn't be based on the Wall Street people that come in. It should be based solely on the law itself, that people need to be heard and seen. I'm also the chair of the continuing legal education of all of New York State. In other words, for all of the attorneys, I'm the one who's going to be looking at to see if the programming is as correct and good enough for the new attorneys. I am also sitting as a member of the advisory council of the commercial litigation advisory council, which is rare for someone like myself, even as a supervising judge and as an acting supreme. And I'm also on the New York State Women's Task Force, on all of New York State Access to Justice Task Force. So I'm always looking to make sure that all of you have access to justice. Thank you. And I'm asking you for your support. Once again, thank you all very much.
Good evening again. My name is Beverly Tatham, and first I want to just thank the Kings County Democratic Club and all the district leaders for hosting this forum, but more importantly, for thanking each of you for staying here, asking your questions, and listening to us. If I had to leave you with anything in less than a minute at this juncture, I would say is that my experience is diverse, not in terms of what I look like, but my experience. I've been both a plaintiff's attorney, a defense attorney, a mediator, and I've also experienced the court system as a litigant. The reason I became an attorney is because of inequity and injustice on a college campus that left something feeling not right within me, and I've always held on to it. And even talking to you at this time, I still feel in the pit of my stomach, how could this be? And I take that to the bench with me every single day. When I get on the bench, I put on a robe that says, patience is a virtue. Patience meaning that using patience to listen, to see the individuals in front of me, and to make sure that I am individual informed, and that I am making sure that I'm listening to the facts of the case, giving them what they need in terms of how they want to present their case, how they need to be heard in order for them to have access to justice. And I thank you, and I hope that I can have your nomination.
All right. Good evening again. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening. Thank you for listening to us and asking your questions, and we'll hear more from you, I'm sure. So very quickly, I'm a graduate of Yale University. I went to University of California, Berkeley for my law school, and I also hold a degree from Cornell University. I have to say that, you know, having had the length of time that I've had on the bench, I believe that my family background, my core values, my experience, the decisions I have made, which have been reviewed over time, countless numbers of times, people have the right to appeal decisions, and they do. I have a record of being overwhelmingly affirmed by the appellate division. Very low reversals, to the point where I can guess that at this point I've seen thousands of litigants. I've had many families come before me, thousands, and probably maybe under 20 decisions that have not gone in the direction of my writing. So to that end, I say that my decision making is very sound, and the efforts I make in writing are very sound. And I'll just lastly close with a la comunidad hispana. Gracias para todo. Gracias para su atención. Gracias para su apoyo. Because I am part of your community as both, and I served as the editor for the African American Law Journal in law school. So I combine both of my backgrounds, and I thank you very much.
And thank you, everyone. Again, I am Judge Linda Wilson, currently presiding in the Kings County Criminal Court. As I previously indicated, I started out in the court system as an appellate court attorney, where I was a foreclosure specialist during that time, with my mentality of you see something, say something, and do something when something is wrong to correct it. I wrote decisions for judges that were issued where I never allowed anyone to lose their home. Hundreds upon hundreds of published decisions over the past several years where there were predatory lending schemes that were disrupted by me in the decisions that I wrote. If I am permitted to go to the Supreme Court, it is my desire, God willing, that I get appointed to the most difficult assignment in the foreclosure part, or the most difficult assignment in criminal Supreme Court, so that I can continue to disrupt injustice wherever it rears its ugly head. And I will just add with this, while justice is blind, I am keenly aware, because I've experienced it from a very young age, that injustice is not blind. It focuses on people like me, people like us, with a laser vision to get whatever it is that they want from us. And so we have a history of being on the losing end. I became a part of the legal system starting as an intern when I was 16, because I want to make sure we start winning again and again and again. Woo! So thank you for your support and your time.
Thank you. So thank you, everyone. Yes, so we actually had to leave this room at 7 o'clock. So we are gonna let you guys ask your questions to the judges. And I know that we did promise this gentleman here that he would ask his questions from the previous round. So it has to be like outside of this room. So we are gonna have to vacate this room. And we are gonna have to, hold on. Wait.
Guys, hold on. There's 3 times. There's 3 times we go over. But they will still be here to answer your questions. And I thank you for coming. We appreciate you. And please look forward to seeing you guys on our next event. And thank you.
Where are they gonna be answering questions? Right outside the door?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, yes, oh.